Imagine this. You're walking down the street, breathing in the air around you, not even thinking about it. Oxygen has always been there, silent, invisible, keeping you alive. But what if, for just 5 seconds, it vanished? What if, all of a sudden, every single molecule of oxygen on Earth disappeared and then returned after those 5 seconds? At first, 5 seconds may not sound like much, but the consequences of this short disappearance would be catastrophic, reshaping our world forever. Oxygen is the unseen foundation of life, but it's also the glue holding much of our planet together. To understand the impact, let's break down what would actually happen in those terrifying moments when oxygen suddenly vanished. First, think about your own body. Humans can hold their breath for a minute, sometimes even longer. So you might believe 5 seconds without oxygen wouldn't hurt us directly. You'd be wrong. While most people wouldn't suffocate instantly, the problem isn't just about breathing. Oxygen is in the very air pressure around us. It makes up about 21% of our atmosphere, and without it, the balance of gases collapses. The atmosphere would feel thinner, weaker, and your eardrums could pop as the sudden change in pressure shocks your body. Now let's look around at the environment. The sky, which usually looks blue, gets its color because oxygen molecules scatter sunlight. Without oxygen, the sky wouldn't be blue anymore. For those 5 seconds, the sky above us would turn pitch black. Daytime would look like night. Imagine billions of people around the world suddenly staring at a star-filled sky in the middle of the afternoon. Panic would spread instantly, and then there's fire. Oxygen is the key ingredient in combustion. Every flame from a small candle to massive forest fires depends on it. In that moment, all the fires across the planet would be extinguished. Planes powered by jet fuel would stall midair. Cars running on gasoline would sputter to a stop. Rockets, power plants, and even your kitchen stove would all shut down. The entire modern world would flicker into silence, but it gets worse. Oxygen isn't just about breathing or burning, it is literally part of the ground we walk on. About 45% of Earth's crust is oxygen, bound in minerals like quartz and silicon dioxide. Without oxygen, those bonds break. The solid ground beneath us would crumble into unstable dust. Skyscrapers, bridges, and roads would collapse, like sandcastles washed away by the tide. Concrete and stone structures would disintegrate instantly. Imagine cities like New York, Paris, and Tokyo falling into rubble in the blink of an eye. Civilization would be torn apart in 5 seconds. And what about water? Each molecule of water is made of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Without oxygen, every drop of water would disappear. Oceans, rivers, and lakes would flash into nothingness, leaving behind dry, empty basins. Marine life, billions of fish, whales, and plankton would die instantly as their environment evaporated. Ships would suddenly slam onto dry seafloors. The global water cycle, the thing that sustains all ecosystems, would collapse. Life as we know it would end right there. The protective ozone layer, made of oxygen, shields us from the sun's deadly ultraviolet rays. In those 5 seconds, with no oxygen, the ozone would vanish. Suddenly, Earth would be unprotected, bombarded by radiation. If oxygen returned after those 5 seconds, the ozone wouldn't instantly regenerate. It would take years, leaving humanity exposed to dangerous levels of UV radiation. Skin cancer rates would skyrocket, crops would wither, and entire food chains would collapse, and the human body itself. Inside you, oxygen is the fuel your cells burn to produce energy. Without it, your cells switch into panic mode. In just a few seconds, brain cells would start to malfunction, and you'd feel dizzy and weak. If oxygen returned quickly, most people would recover, but the shock and confusion would linger. Hospitals would be flooded with people suffering strokes, heart attacks, and other oxygen-related trauma. Let's not forget about technology. Our world is powered by oxygen in more ways than we notice. Oxygen forms a thin protective layer on metals like aluminum, preventing them from corroding instantly. Without oxygen, that protection is gone. Metals would fuse together in strange, brittle ways. Airplanes in the sky would disintegrate. Satellites and spacecraft relying on Earth's atmosphere for balance would tumble uncontrollably. Even electronic systems could short circuit without the stabilizing effects of oxygen-rich air. And let's think about the animals. Birds in mid-flight would drop from the skies as the air pressure suddenly vanished. Insects, small mammals, and even humans would be thrown into chaos. Ecosystems would collapse in ways we cannot even imagine. The delicate balance of nature, already fragile, would break beyond repair. 5 seconds later, oxygen returns. But by then, the world is no longer the same. Fires reignite, but many engines and machines are already ruined. Buildings are piles of dust, oceans are gone, never to return. Humanity is left standing on a barren, broken planet. The shock of losing oxygen, even for just 5 seconds, would cause irreversible destruction. This thought experiment teaches us one powerful truth. Oxygen is more than just the air we breathe. It is the invisible architecture of life, the element that holds together our bodies, our environment, and our civilization. Without it, even for the blink of an eye, everything we take for granted would fall apart. So the next time you take a deep breath, remember oxygen is not guaranteed. It is precious, fragile, and absolutely essential. And in the silence of those 5 missing seconds, we see just how much we depend on something we cannot even see.